Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to our Get Astrologic Now YouTube channel. And I've been gone for a while. I've been traveling throughout the world. I've been in Turkey, in Istanbul, Ankara, and Antalya to teach. So I apologize for being a little bit tardy with my February newsletter or predictions. But because we're already halfway through the month in February, I want to talk about where we're going to go in March. Now that Mercury is direct, it went direct yesterday on February 11th, and now things can really move forward. We feel like the pressure's off and all the backward motion, complications with travel, being forgetful. And now we're moving forward. And what we have to look forward to is going to be very, very intense. And one thing I want to talk about is in January, we had the Uranus-Ketu conjunction, which I said was going to be a new awakening. And it may not be obvious, like a big explosive event in the world, but it really has made a difference in people's consciousness. And I say that because when I was teaching in Istanbul, my students were so open, and they received the information, and they actually learned how to read charts in 5 days. I've never had this happen. So what I'm saying is that there's this new awareness, a new opening, and astrology is becoming mainstream. This is so exciting because people are really opening and awakening. And with this month coming up in March, we have the solar eclipse, which will be around 5 degrees of Pisces. The eclipse is going to be March 21st. And with this energy, there is this stellium of planets that are all accumulating into the sign of Pisces. And the nakshatra that's going to be the most pronounced is Uttara Bhadrapada. And as we speak, the end of February, all the planets are starting to align there. Now, Mars just entered Pisces today, which it's February 12th. And with that, you're going to see things start to brew, to become more and more and more intense as Mars will approach its conjunction with Ketu. And then they're going to come together a few days later with Uranus. So watch that, because this is pivotal. Like March 5th and 6th, Mars is going to come together with Ketu. And then by March 11th, Mars is going to conjunct Uranus. This is volatile, I want you to know. And on top of that, Jupiter is casting a trine to these planets. So Jupiter usually magnifies things. And remember, Jupiter is in Cancer exalted. So this is the magnification of the power of what is about to transpire. Another important aspect of all of this is these are all water signs. Saturn's in Scorpio, Jupiter's in Cancer. And we have the stellium of planets all moving into Pisces. Venus will be in Pisces as well in about 5 days, 4 or 5 days from now. So it will be in Pisces for a month. And so we're going to have Venus, we're going to have Mars, we're going to have the Sun, the Moon, Ketu, and Uranus, all of those planets in Pisces. And what that means is there's going to be more storms, there's going to be more rain. And anytime we come close to eclipses, I always say it's like a 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. I call that the eclipse season, because remember, 2 weeks after the solar eclipse and sometimes before, we have the lunar eclipse when we have the full moon. And so what we're going to see is usually that's a time around more earthquakes globally in the world. So around this eclipse, I get there's going to be shaking, there's going to be world events, and there will be more volatile behavior, more emotional behavior. Why? Because we've got all this water sign activity. So look for everything that deals with water: floods, tsunamis, possible earthquakes, and emotions that run high that cause what? Violence. So Mars and K2 represent violent attacks. A lot of times it's involved in terrorism because remember September 11th, 2001, Mars was conjunct K2. Now on top of this, to add the volatility to this, we have Pluto casting a square to all this. So this is really, really an intense time. And as the year evolves, even into May when we have Saturn opposed Mars, that's going to be, everything's still building and coming to an extreme. But I do think something pretty big, proportional value is going to happen in the month of March around this eclipse period. And also, I was looking at the fact that the nakshatra, Uttara Bhadrapada, the Bhadrapadas, Purva and Uttara. Purva means former or the front end, and Uttara means latter, which is like the back end of the funeral cot. So this can deal with many deaths involved in, I think, something with floods or possibly even wars. But this is because of emotions, emotional behavior. Everything's coming to a head. And you're going to find that this is an extremely volatile time. Now, the end of February, what we're looking forward to in the next few weeks is the general effects are going to be with Mars coming together in the same sign as Uranus and K2. So you're going to see the intensity already starting to build. And another thing that's significant is around the end of February, around the 26th, the Sun will conjunct Neptune. And this is also bringing the illusions out, the things that have been secret. There's many secret things in the governments throughout the world that have been hidden because the Sun does represent leaders and governments, and Neptune means the deception and denial. But with Saturn in the sign of Scorpio for the next 2 years, this really brings things out. This brings the truth out. So you're going to see a lot of uncovering, as we have already. You know, they've been talking about the newscasters that have been exaggerating the truth. And, you know, just a lot of things that have been hidden in secret are starting to be revealed. Watch in the government that the governments throughout the world start with revealing more things that have been hidden for so long. And so, in other words, this is the time that the truth comes out. So I think this is really significant. But also, another thing I want to remind everyone is that Venus, as it comes into the sign of Pisces, is coming into a sign of exaltation. And as the moon comes together in this eclipse, it's also going to be in the sign of Pisces, which means that their dispositing planet of Venus, Moon, Sun, all of these planets disposit to Jupiter. Now, the point with this is Jupiter's exalted. So the dispositor of all these planets is extraordinarily powerful. Now, this can bring some really positive things, I believe, in the world with dealing with love, compassion, and healing. But I do think that it's the cause of some major events that explode that will bring this deep sense of healing. And people are waking up, and consciousness is becoming more pure, and people are awakening. So watch how all of this eclipse energy brings things out. Because remember, when we have eclipses, it always brings things to the surface. It brings things that were hidden. And Saturn and Scorpio brings out the truth and things that are hidden. So this next period, in this next 6 weeks, watch how the world changes and events and the truth comes out, and explosions and storms. Emotional storms are about to occur. So with that, I'd like to close. And if you're interested in getting a reading with me, you can go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org, and go to schedule a reading. Thank you.